Okay, so we're going to begin now a series of shiurim that are going to address what is the shitta of Chabad? What was the Alter Rebbe Megale? What was the Alter Rebbe Mechadish over the shitta of the Magid, over the Torah of the Magid, over the Torah of the Baal Shem Tov, over the Derech of the Baal Shem Tov? What is it that the Alter Rebbe? What was the Alter Rebbe? What's Chabad Mechadish or Megale? And obviously, the purpose is to know when we understand clearly what it is that we do, what we're supposed to do, what our shitta is, and what we're supposed to do. Memela will do it. Memela will have a bigger clarity in what it is that the poil, what it is that we emphasize, and what it is that we do, and why. And the Mitzvah Shem over the next series of shiurim, I don't know how many this will take, we will be able to address this entire concept. But if in Makif al Koponim. So the story of Chabad, of Chassidus Chabad, doesn't begin with the Alter Rebbe, it doesn't begin with the Magid, and it doesn't begin with the Baal Shem Tov, it doesn't begin with the Arizal. The story of Shittas Chabad begins when it's Ava Kodesh Baruch Hu Liyis Leidira B'Tachtoinim. It begins at the beginning of time, at the beginning of space, before time and space, before Briyas Olam. The Eibishter decided he wants to create a world. Why? There's actually four reasons. The one that Chassidus focuses on, the deepest reason, is a Medrash Tanchuma, because Nis'ava Kodesh Baruch Hu Liyus Lo Yizborich Dira B'Tachtoinim. The Eibishter wanted a Dira B'Tachtoinim, and therefore and therefore therefore he created the world. Why did he create the world? Dira B'Tachtoinim. Creates after the 6 days of creation. On the sixth day he creates Adam Rishon. V'yanicheyu began Eden la'ovda l'shamra. He puts him into Gan Eden la'ovda l'shamra, to serve him. Hold on a second. What was Adam Rishon's job? V'yanicheyu began Eden, not Stam. Not that he created the world in 6 days and said, "Okay, Chevra, that's it. Now we have the world. This was my taiva." He creates Adam Rishon, creates the whole world. Then he takes earth from the four corners of the world and he puts the earth and he puts it onto the Harabayis. And then he creates on Haramiriya and Harabayis, he creates Adam Rishon, and then Vayanicheyu began Eden. He puts Adam Rishon into Gan Eden, the Rebbe explains. Why does he put him into Gan Eden? So Gan Eden is not right there. Machloikus where Gan Eden is, it seems that there's Gan Eden in two parts of the world. But he puts Adam Rishon there, La'ovdo l'shomra, to serve him. What's he going to do? How's he going to serve him? What's Adam Rishon going to do? Going to do what the Eibishter says? I have a very technical question. How does Adam Rishon know that when somebody says, do this, you're supposed to do it? And if somebody says, don't do this, you're not supposed to do it? He doesn't have das. He doesn't know the difference between toiv and ra. How do I know that no means don't? Because I understand that there's a difference. Don't means don't. And if I do, then I'm doing the wrong thing. But if I don't know what the wrong thing is, if I don't know that there's a concept of wrong, if I don't know wrong, so then how can I do wrong? How is Adam Rishon supposed to know what to do if he doesn't know what's good and bad, what's right and wrong? He doesn't know. So what's Pshat v'yanicheyu began Eden? The Eibishter puts him in the Gan Eden before the Chet. Puts him in the Gan Eden la'avdo l'shamra. But he has to guess what to do because he doesn't know what's good and what's bad. It's like the game where you get blindfolded and you have a little, there's a picture on the wall and you have to pin the tail on the animal and you have to guess where the wall is and where the animal is. What's he supposed to guess, Adam Rishon? So this question is asked by many of the Rishonim already. And all of them give a very similar answer. They give the same al-derech, the same answer, using different words, different terminologies. So the Marshal, we'll go through some of them. The Marshal, the Rambam says that Adam Rishon, of course, Adam Rishon knew good and bad. Otherwise, the Rambam answers it from a different perspective. He says, if a human, what's the mile of a human? The mile of a human is seichel. If the human doesn't have seichel, so what was the mile of Adam Rishon over a cow? Cow doesn't know what to do. A cow's impulsive. Adam Rishon's impulsive. Can't be. There's the min sug ha-medaber. The Eibishter created medaber. If the Eibishter created medaber, is pshat that the medaber has seichel. Norvos. So the Rambam uses the terminology that that Adam Rishon knew emes and sheker. Emes and sheker. It wasn't why. What does he explain? Is like this. And I'm telling you, the Rambam says this. The Ramban doesn't talk about it openly, but the Ramban addresses it a little bit. In somewhere else, it seems that the Ramban has a similar shitta to this. The Abarbanel, the Malbim, they all say a similar thing. And the Rambam says we'll use the Rambam for example. The Rambam says a very simple thing. What's das? What's das? So in Chassidus we know das means a havana, a hakore, which means like this, that Baruch Hashem, there's a child, he's never been knocked over by a car. Never been knocked over by a car. He's 1 year old. So he goes onto the street and he crosses the street. Baruch Hashem, nothing happens. And his mother yells at him and she gives him a punishment. So he should learn that he never, ever, ever should run across the street again without looking. He's too young. He can't cross the street yet. You get a bit older. Anybody ever has a taiva to run across the street without looking? A 10-year-old kid has a taiva to run across the street without looking? Avada nicht, why not? Because a 10-year-old kid is able to now understand like this. There's a car. Car goes fast. You cross the street. Don't look at the car. Car hits you. You're dead. The child understands this. It doesn't have to experience, doesn't have to actually feel the pain of being knocked over to understand that there's an issue being knocked over. A more common dogma is coats, perhaps. Yeah, a young child doesn't want to put on his coat. Well, he's warm. He's in his house. He's warm. Why should he put on a coat? Why should he matriach himself to put on a coat when he's warm? Turns 15 years old. He understands that now he's warm because the steam is on in the house. He'll go outside. It will be freezing. He'll wear a coat. So now he has to put on the coat. You get to a certain stage where you don't have to think it through. When you understand it so deeply, they don't have to feel cold in order to wear a coat. You understand klor, you understand it clear in your head that you run across the street without looking. There's a chmona letzlan, a chance that something bad will happen. So you don't have to actually experience it to have das, to have a hakara, to have a deep, deep, deep knowledge. Just we know this is das. Das is pshat, where I'm able to feel the fear of, it doesn't have to be the feeling, but I'm able to so closely relate to the fear that I don't have to, it's as if I've experienced it. In a way, I don't have to bring up a fear. It's the way I live my life. It's what I do already. It's that I cross. That I look when I cross the road. It's as I clear by me as if I experienced it once. Says the Rambam. Of course, Adam Rishon had das. Of course, he had seichel. Nervous. Adam Rishon had never experienced bad. He's living in Gan Eden. There's hakara elikos. Not only that, we'll see soon what Adam Rishon, what type of hakara Adam Rishon has. So he is understanding, he's learning Torah. We'll address a different time what type of Torah Adam Rishon is learning, but he's learning Elikos, he's learning the Tifstehem, Sheikhim Chassidus. He's learning about Elikos, about the Eibishter. Each darga he uncovers, he's Megala one darga, a minute later, he has a whole new one to reveal. And he's busy revealing Emes and Sheker. And Sheker has dargas, right? So he's busy revealing what's true and what's truer and what's even more true and what's false. Doesn't have das. He's never experienced what it means. Bad is by him a theory. In theory, there are some things that you know the bad. You know the bad. It's theoretical. I'll give you an example. Children don't like to brush their teeth. Children. Many children don't like to brush their teeth, yeah? When I was a child, like everybody else. There was one day, and every time I went to the dentist told me that if I'm not going to brush my teeth, I've got plaque, which is eating away at the enamel. And if I don't brush my teeth, then the plaque is going to continue to eat away at the enamel, and I'm going to get holes in my teeth. So he says, well, what do I understand? One time I go to the hygienist. The hygienist asks me, did you ever see what plaque looks like under a microscope? No. You ever seen? So she doesn't show me a video. She takes plaque off my teeth and she puts it under a microscope and I look. Have you ever seen it? It's small worms. Little worms crawling over your teeth. I didn't anymore need oisius, need somebody to hack me that you need to. Nobody wants worms on their teeth. Adam Rishon is understanding without having to experience bad. He's never experienced it though. He knows there's something bad. He knows he has to brush his teeth. Yeah, he knows there's something bad. He's never experienced bad, so he's learning it as a theory. It's a nice theory. He eats from Neitzadas. He eats from Neitzadas. Now he's suddenly done something that he shouldn't have done. He's done what the Eibusher said. No, this is the first experience of bad. Oh, now he has das. Now he firmly understands what is it that the Eibusher, what is this thing that's bad? What is this? Now he's finally experienced it for the first time. Okay. The Malbim, the Ramban says a very similar thing. The Ramban says that the Ramban doesn't call it emes and sheker, which is what the Rambam calls it, but he calls it toiv and loy toiv. The Barbanel, I apologize. The Barbanel, he calls it toiv and loy toiv. He calls it also. It's a theory. It's theoretical. It's a theory. That's the point of it. Before we get to what the Rebbe says, what did Adam Rishon want? Was brennt him? Was brennt him? What was he looking for? Here he is. Seichel is the only Metzias. What's Seichel is the only Metzias? Elikus. Havana in Elikus. That's what he's doing all day. He's looking at the animals, and he's looking at the trees, and he's looking at the grass, and he's seeing that there's oisius that Amachayim mahava them. And he sees what type of oisius they see. He understands sirufe oisius. He understands kavanas. And by seeing the oisius, by seeing the oisius, by having such a deep understanding of what it is that he's doing, he says what it is that he's seeing. What's the elikus? What's this darg of elikus that he's seeing? Through such a tifa havana, he's able to. Such a tifa havana that he gives him the names. He sees. Oh, Aleph, Veis, Nun. That's mechayo, mahava, these siruf, and that's what I'm looking at. I'm not looking at a stone. I'm looking at Aleph, Veis, Nun. I'm looking at heaven. I'm not looking over here at an ox. I'm looking at a shoyir. That's what I see. Shin vav reish. That's the elikus. So, what does he need? He needs a grape or a fig. Was will? Explains Alter Rebbe like this. Alter Rebbe explains when you have sometimes a ish sichli. Everyone has various dargis. You have anoshim sichliim, but a real ish sichli. You have some people that Posha, the geniuses, they all they care about is seichel. You have some people that it's to such an extent, give them a good piece of meat, means nothing to them. Cold cup of Coke on a hot day, no, doesn't mean anything. They've got zero interest in it. They care about seichel. You see it. They care. They have zero care for anything gashmi, and the more sichli they are, the less care they have for dvarim gashmi. Which means, to an extent, also you have the same thing with midas, which means like this: you have a person that's a ish sichli. He's got so much seichel, but he's able to feel excited. He's able to feel sad. He has certain feelings. He's it's by a chasana, so he's happy. He's very, very happy. So maybe he's not jumping up and down. He's not what they call wear the emotions on their sleeve. But I have a chaver. I often tell the bachrim when I was in school, when I was in the cheder. So I wear my emotions on my sleeve. And I have a chaver that's he's brainy. You don't see him too much emotion out of him. So I could be watching something that's amazing, and I'd be jumping all over the place, and he would stand there and say, "That's amazing. That's amazing." You have sometimes, but Adam Rishon had so much seichel, was only seichel. Adam Rishon was looking at the understanding of Elikus. The more you understand the Elikus, the more you get lost in that. And Adam Rishon had seichel. He didn't have das. He didn't have midas. It was all seichel. He had never tasted. He couldn't. He was so deep. It's not seichel leki, yeah. But he was so deep in his havana of what he was trying to do. His havana was so deep in trying to understand the likus, he was not able to feel. He couldn't taste food. He didn't care for it. And also, not only he couldn't taste food, he couldn't feel. He never felt what it means to have a physical tainug. Your body has a geschmack in elikus. the Geschmack was all in the head. The biggest seichel, the biggest Geschmack is in the head. Okay, the Rebbe Rashab explains it as the Geschmack that's lots of Megash Muse, is Bechal, to go out from your Metzias. But okay, so it's to get to a level that high of where you are now. But talking within the Gdorim of the current Geschmack, the Geschmack Sichli, when it comes into Seichel, that is the biggest Geschmack. So when you have the biggest Geschmack, you don't have the thing, but he had never experienced it. So he's over here, he's hearing about Midas, he's learning about Midas, he's understanding there's a musig of serving the Eibishter with Midas. He can't serve the Eibishter with Midas. He is way deeper than Midas. Explains the Alter Rebbe. So therefore the Mauritian took a machel orev, and ate a sweet food, and he ate it. When he ate it, so he tasted, he was able to taste. He was able suddenly to taste. So you eat from that tree, that's the one that he's able to taste. He was able to taste physically. He enjoyed physical. The minute he enjoyed physical, he began to be able to feel as well. His physical body began to feel a tam, a geschmack in the kos. It wasn't only his seichel that understood the geschmack in the kos, but his heart was bottled to his head betachlis, and his foot was bottled to his head betachlis. Mitamol, his heart is also able to feel a geschmack in the kos, and it's taka geschmack. That's what Adam Rishon wanted. So far, we understand like this. The Eibishter created the world, and what did the Eibishter want from Adam Rishon? What did he want? He wanted love the Shamra. He wanted that he should not do the good thing. The Adam Rishon knew what he has to do, what not to do. Narvaz, he had never experienced doing and not doing. Why did he want to experience it? Because he didn't only want to bring a likus into his seichel. He didn't only want to be able to understand good and bad. He wanted to be able to and understand the likus. He wanted that his body should feel excited. His heart should pump faster when he feels the likus. He should get excited. He should jump around by davening. He shouldn't be 100%. But he wanted to be able to feel, at least be able to feel. I wanted to see what it was like. What was this like? What's it like to be able to not contain yourself when you're davening, not be able to control yourself when you're davening? That's what he wanted to understand. The Rebbe explains, keeping on Adam Rishon, just to be mesakim over here with Adam Rishon. The Rebbe explains like this. Adam Rishon, what was he doing in Gan Eden? L'avdol Shamra, what was he doing? He was learning. He was understanding a likus. What does it mean to understand a likus? It means that this. You look at a table. Table, you see, we look at it with physical eyes. The table, you see that there's 4 legs and a table and a thing on top. That's what we see. Take it to a science place and put it under a magnifying glass. Put it under a big microscope. And turn the microscope more and more and more and more. What are you going to see? You're going to see that there's atoms, and then you're going to see deeper. You're going to see that there's quantum particles, and you're going to go. Imagine you had one that you could keep twisting, and you could see a likus. Yeah, you could see ruchnis. What does it mean? You could see the energy. You could see the koyach eliki. You could see the energy. Even today, even the scientists say that they acknowledge that everything's energy. You imagine you could see. They think it's. They don't know what the energy is. Imagine you could see infinite energy, a likus. Now, that's what Adam Rishon is trying to figure out, yeah? That's what Adam Rishon is seeing. Darga is going deeper and deeper and deeper, higher and higher and higher. Lamailad and Ketz, he's understanding Elikus. Good. So now, Adam Rishon, so what's he doing for the world? But Poil, what's he doing for the world? Yeah, but it's all in the head. All in the head means it's all in his hakara. What's he doing in the world? How's he helping the cow? How's he making a dilu betachtoinim by learning Chassidus, by learning Chassidus on a deeper level. This is what he's doing. You have to say that Adam Rishon, by his thinking it through, by his focus, by him focusing on Elikus, by his seichel, by his hakor and Elikus, he's elevating everybody around him, everything around him. And as he goes deeper, he's elevating deeper and deeper and deeper. You have Lamasha like this. You have, let's use a dogma of the Rabbeim. So, you look at something in the world. Yeah? You have a cow. A cow looks at grass. And he sees food. He sees grass. That's what he sees. He eats. He eats grass. He eats. What happens if you're a person that's worried about the environment? Is your tafkid is to deal with the environment. So you don't see cow food in the grass. You see pollen counts that's adding to the clean air that's going on in the whole city. That's what you're seeing by when you look at the grass. Now, what is it really? Is it cow food, or is it? Okay, it's both. Yeah, but at the end of the day, you could see there's a certain a better dogma would be take a kid. Yeah, take a kid. A kid is he's flying to New York, flying from London to New York. So for the parent, the flight itself, no one's looking forward to it, and it's a satiric, yeah? And it consists of no part of the journey. It's the means to get there. A kid's excited. The airplane is already the exciting part. Now, you can have a kid that can get distracted by the airplane. He could not want to get off the airplane. He could get fully distracted. So the parent, the parent leads the child and shows the child a deeper meaning to everything. Now, I'm using small dogmas, but there's much bigger dogmas. You have people that show you the way and show you that this is not really this. So the dogma, a dogma that's more real to us. So it's more real to us. You have a table. Table's a table. It's a physical table. You touch it, you feel it. Then you have somebody, you have a Rebbe, that teaches you that the table is Dvar Havaya. The table is a likus. And it's the Dvar Leki that's Mechayo Mahava Bechol Rega. It's the Eibishte, the whole thing is a likus. So now, us people that don't understand this by nature, we would never get there. We have somebody that taught it to us. Now that we never saw it, never saw the elikus, but now that we can understand it a little bit, take Hashgacha Pratis the dogma. Much better dogma. Not much better, much easier dogma, same thing. Hashgacha Pratis and elikus, but it's a Mechayim Mahave. But it's you have somebody who says you have an event that happened. Somebody teaches you learn Hashgacha Pratis. You learn Hashgacha Pratis. Why? Because somebody taught it to us. Somebody who does understand, who knew it without having it to be taught, who understands it in seichel, understands it in a seichel, understands it because he sees it, understands it because he has a hakor in it, he recognizes it, he sees it, taught us the concept, and now we learn to look out for it. So something happens, something that we're not excited about happens, and now and we're not excited about it, it's a problem. But because we've learned, because we've been guided in the musig of Hashgacha Pratis, therefore we're suddenly able to live with this Hashgacha Pratis. We're suddenly able to take this thing that we think is a bad thing, that naturally being a bad thing, we could stop, we can focus, and we could try and look for the Hashgacha Pratis. Memela, this bad thing is not a bad thing anymore. Now, why is this bad thing not a bad thing anymore for us? Because on our own we came to the hakara that everything is good? No. Because somebody came to that hakara. Somebody came to that realization. They came to that realization, put it in oisius, into letters, into words that we can understand, into explanations, basic explanations that we can understand. And therefore we now know to look out for it. Now there's some things that we don't understand. But there's some things that we know, this is how you live your life. Why do we know this, how you live your life? Because there's somebody that lived their life that way. And it taught us good. It taught us the way to live. We might not understand certain things that we do. Certain things that we do, we don't understand them. We do it because that's what's done. But poil, somebody explains to you why you do it. Suddenly, it all clicks in. Suddenly you have a reason why you're doing it. You've been doing it for years, but suddenly you understand why something is going on. So, in other words, when there are people that live their life with seichel, they live their life not with seichel, with understanding. They understand things much deeper than us. Even though so some things they can explain to us, we can understand. Other things they may not explain it, but because they created a certain atmosphere and a certain environment, they were able, by them living their life, by them doing this, or by them putting things into an order in their own life, they lift everybody around them. Whether it's the Hanhogas, whether it's one thing first, one thing second, whatever it is, everybody that learns from them get elevated, even if they don't understand what's going on, but because there's somebody doing it. The cow today, or a child today, has a higher quality of life, not because children are better, but because adults before them made their lives better. They made the world better, and therefore the children's lives are better. So they get elevated not from their own atmosphere, but from people around them. That's in Maisa, that's an action. Then you have in Seichel as well. You have sometimes that somebody has, we have it, somebody has such a deep hakara, somebody has such a deep realization of something, that the atmosphere around them changes. Let's talk here in Sitkis. Ask anyone that was by the Rebbe's Hakafis, they will tell you what says the atmosphere by Hakafis was not man-made. It wasn't a human simcha. It was something that was, nobody will be able to explain. How do I know that nobody can explain? No one's ever explained it to me. Okay, I'm talking. Describe simcha. Anyway, it doesn't work. Yeah, but the simcha that a person felt there, they have never been able to recreate in any atmosphere with as big crowd as possible. Why? Because it was a ruchniistic simcha that was brought in by a Rebbe being by the Rebbe being the Rebbe. Everybody in that room was memela elevated. Vayanicheu began Eden la'avdo l'shamra. Adam Rishon is putting Gan Eden. Why? You should as a verstehen alikus. That's what Adam Rishon is in Gan Eden for. Verstehen alikus, understand godliness, understand the godly energy that's in the world. That is what Adam Rishon is there for. By Adam Rishon doing that, everybody around him, not everybody around him, everybody in the entire world automatically gets lifted. I use some dugma, some physical, one ruchni, some more physical, but to explain this idea that people can affect by their seichel, can affect people around them, even if the people around them don't understand it, don't know it, they're memela elevated. Whether it's because they're copying, and I'm telling you more, sometimes poshet by a person being on such a deep level, they're able to elevate everything around them. So Adam Rishon was put, the Eibusha wants a dir b'tachtoinim. Adam Rishon was creating this dir b'tachtoinim. What's the dir b'tachtoinim? Elikus b'pshitas. You shouldn't see a beam, you should see a elikus. You shouldn't see a table, you should see a elikus. You shouldn't see a tree, you should see, what it means see a elikus. You should understand, you should be able to understand in das, you should be able to understand in your seichel, in your mind, and be able to feel, be able to understand that this is really, really, really godly energy, what they call. That's what it is. It's really only soif. That's what Eibusha wanted from Adam Rishon. Getting back to the Alter Rebbe, Adam Rishon wanted. Adam Rishon, when it came to the chet, was a chet. Adam Rishon said, "I don't want to Hakara Telikos to stop over there. I don't want it. I'm missing something. I'm missing a certain Hakara Telikos. I'm missing a certain understanding in godliness. You know what I'm missing? My heart has never felt God. My heart has never felt Telikos. Never been able to feel Telikos. I want to be able to feel. I want my heart to be able to feel. I want to bring the Eibishter to my heart as well. That's what I want to do. And therefore, I'm going to eat from the Eitzadas. And that was the Chet. What does this have to do with Chassidus? So then, Hashem, we've explained today the Eibishter, what the Eibishter wanted from the world. The Eibishter wants from the world, which is that everybody should have a Hakara Lekos, which should be a Dir B'tachtoinim, which means that everybody, everything, every being in the world should be able to feel, understand deeply, understand that it is Elikos, and that everything is Elikos, everything is Eibishter. It stopped. When Adam Rishon was created, it stopped at a certain level, which is it stopped by Hakara. The body never felt, you never felt it physically. Adam Rishon brought it that you should be able to feel it physically as well. Next year, Mitzvah Hashem, we'll begin to discuss how it was nishtalshel, how it came down from Adam Rishon. From Adam Rishon it came down until the Baal Shem Tov. I'm not going to be able to cover from Adam Rishon until the Baal Shem Tov in one year, but be a little bit more historical the next year, a little bit less philosophical than this. Maybe should help before the next year already. We'll be in Eretz Yisrael, and you shouldn't have to hear from me. Now the Rebbe will explain it. The Rebbe will explain it. We won't even have to be explained. The Hakara and the Lekus will be so clear that we'll understand straight away exactly what it's all about. Okay.